Hello, everyone, and welcome to the episode 77 of the Office Hours podcast. Uh, Last week, we had conversations about management and one on ones. I don't know, Mo, did you get a chance to read that article? I think I sent it to you today, but it might have been too soon to ask.
Yeah, I think I haven't looked into it yet, but I actually was thinking about like us having this continuing the conversation from where we stopped, because
Mm,
I was trying to. I don't know if we talked enough about it last week.
mm-hmm.
I felt like I wanted to learn how you handle one-on-ones. Like when you go into a one-on-one, I mean, I imagine like you have one-on-ones with managers, or you no longer do this.
I haven't had one in a really long time. Uh, so
Is
yeah,
this,
it's been a
is this
while.
a good thing? Is this like a rank thing? Like you get to a point where you no longer have one-on-ones, or like
No, I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that. I think that regardless of you'd still probably it's a good idea to have one. We just have had so many shifts in our team structure
Mhm.
that um, it kind of fell through the cracks. There's like so many other things people need to do, so it's kind of like not happening at the moment. It might start happening again soon, but I don't know. So far, everyone's kind of like
Mhm.
nose to the ground, just working on things.
But when you have one-on-ones, like what do you talk about usually?
Usually, well, I mean, we did talk about sort of my future goals and how these things are gonna turn out. That was, I guess, like the primary topic of the conversation. So it's mostly like just like what am I not doing that I should be doing, or what am I doing that I should be doing better, things like that. Um, yeah, something along those lines. But it's been a while since I had ones. Probably I don't know how long it was, but it's been quite a long time.
Like quite a long time,
Probably
like
last
2 weeks
year.
ago.
Hmm.
What? Why? Like your manager doesn't want to talk to you?
I don't know.
Did you complain? Like, did you ask? Or,
I've been kind of busy with things myself, so again, it like fell through the cracks on both sides. Um, so it just hasn't been
is this like
happening.
a culture thing at your place, or like this is just I don't know, it's just unusual for me. Like I feel like at every level, like even like your manager will also have one-on-one with her manager. So like everyone kind of does one-on-ones, no?
Ideally, but again, like maybe not. It really depends on the organization, I guess. Um, so it does depend on a culture, but a lot of times, urgent things supersede culture. Like we're supposed to be having a one-on-one, but we're not having it due to all these reasons. Are they good enough reasons to justify not having it? Maybe, maybe
Well,
not.
oh,
But that's just
oh,
I'm just saying how it is right now.
oh. Um, yeah, because like I guess the reason why I was asking about what you talk about in your one-on-ones is because sometimes like I've had like different managers, right? Like in a while, like and I was starting to realize that all of them are actually like different in their approaches. I think I mentioned that to you in one of our conversations. And like I've had a manager like in his one-on-ones, he feels like this is the time for him to tell you everything that is wrong in your life, Like it's judgment time,
What was that? How it was actually formulated?
No, no, but this is exactly what we talk about in the one-on-one. So every one-on-one, you're like nervous to talk to this guy. Like, I wonder what I've done this week, Like,
Mm-hmm.
so, and then there's some like you just like chill, like you don't even really have anything serious to talk about. Like we probably might talk about like sky or like talk about economy or like life generally. And it's just chill. We get to know each other like personally, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And there are also like another one who like has like a good mix of both. Like he can really like because he's much older, so like you feel like he has a lot of experience. But across all these like different experiences, like I'm thinking like you need to know because at the end of the day, your manager is not really your friend. I mean, they are friendly, but I don't know if they are your friend. I'm not sure. Like I would like them to be like this, like to think of them as a friend. But I don't know because this is corporate, you know, and you don't know how do you measure what to talk about. Like also, if something bothers you, like maybe there's someone on the team that you feel like um could do something differently, like you know, like something that bothers you, like how much of it can you really talk about before? I mean, it starts to sound political, you know, like so, like
Mm.
how do you really like handle these relationships?
I guess I was gonna say that like potentially the same way it works in relationships. It's like if you're unhappy with your romantic partner, at what point in time do you tell them, or do you just never tell them and pretend like nothing's happening? You know,
I don't think it's the same though.
it's not the same, but it is similar. I guess
Is it?
the major difference is that there's two of you in a romantic relationship. Well, ideally anyway, and there's many people in a corporate setting, so it could be seen as you mentioned political, because you know it's like, oh, are you being for real, or are you just trying to undermine this other person for your personal gain, kind of. But
Mhm.
in terms of determining when to say things, I think it would be quite similar, right? Because as we talked about it last week, you could be stewing in a bad situation for a long time and never really say anything, but if it's not getting if nobody's doing anything about it, it's going to just get worse with time, and eventually it'll pass some threshold, and depending on your personality, you're going to have a various various potential responses to that. You could like just say screw this, I quit, or you could like just blow up and have some sort of throw a massive tantrum or something, or like I don't know, different people behave in a different way in terms of like channeling their frustrations. So the whole point of it was to not let it get to a stage where you have to have it in a fashion where it's just like super explosive and destructive overall, you know, because once you like, you know, once you're in that state, if you're like, I don't know, if you experience rage or experience something else, like, you know, you could say some things that could never be unsaid, you know, same again as in a romantic relationship. You can say something that cannot be unsaid, and it's just going to be forever there in the background, kind of poisoning everything else going forward, right? So, you know, I think you kind of have to discuss it and negotiate it in the same way you would there, right? And both, I guess, have their risks. And I don't know which which type of relationship allows for more compromise, because I guess the romantic relationship probably allows for more compromise, but the professional relationship where you're being paid for your services, there's like you're not required to have as many compromises or allow as many compromises, because you know, I mean, barring the situation on a market, you can always just pick up, quit, and work someplace else that suits you better, right? So,
I don't know, because like if you compare it to like romantic relationships,
mm,
we could fight. Like you could get in a fight with your partner. I mean, with I'm being careful not to sound toxic, but yeah, you could you could get in a fight with your partner, and that's it. You get in a fight, you finish the fight, you get back together, you eat dinner. This is life. Like you move on with your life.
but do you
It,
address it after? Because I've seen situations where people would like consistently get in a fight and then kind of calm down, and then they just pretend that nothing ever happened, even though it was clear to them and everybody around them that it did. And things were said, and some things that were said were probably not great, and like pretending that it just didn't occur that way and just kind
Mhm.
of continue with your life. It is a strategy. A lot of people use that strategy, but it's not the best, because the underlying problem actually didn't get resolved, right?
Well,
So,
yeah, but it's not the same because I was trying to say like
mm,
you could do this, but you cannot do this with your manager. Like there is a level to which you can even disagree with your manager before you. I mean, I mean, there is a level to it. This is work. It's different. I feel like it's very different because, and what I'm saying is like, for example, if you don't, if you have a problem with your coworker,
mm-hmm.
like
Well,
you would
technically,
not
your manager's there to facilitate that problem, right? It's not you
exactly,
versus the manager. It's like manager facilitating between the two of you in whatever
exactly,
capacity. Yeah.
exactly. But given a good manager that understands this, um, they could potentially help you to figure it out. But not all managers. I mean, my concern here is like, how do you manage this relationship? I don't think it's the same as being in a
I'm
romantic
not saying that the
relationship.
relationship is the same. I'm saying that there is like some strategies that are similar, like a strategy in terms of, okay, how do I broach the topic of a thing that's been bothering me? It's probably very similar in either situation, because there's something bothering you and you need to address it with this person. You just need to start that conversation and say, this is what I'm unhappy about. How can we figure out a way to fix that?
Okay,
Or if it's completely irreconcilable, then that's it. That's the end of the road, right?
okay, but let's even put aside like the boardroom part. Like when they talk about like, oh yeah, you're talking to your manager about like your future plans and stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you really think that they make? I mean, I know a manager right now that I feel like he has a lot of like life experience, but in general, do you think that um your manager really like has a lot of like experience or like something to do with like your life goals? Like, how do you think they help you? Like, at some point, I feel like it's like someone is just listening. They just listen, right? Like they can't really do much because
Well, I'm not talking about your life goals broadly. I'm talking about your goals within the organization. Like if you want to
mm,
get a promotion, if you want to get a different role, if you want to, I don't know. It obviously it's not like, oh, I want to learn cooking. Can my manager help me achieve that? It's like, no, that's not their job, right? It has nothing to do with your work.
no, no, this is not what I'm saying. Because like sometimes I find like sometimes when I talk to some people and we're just talking about like plans and stuff, I feel like they hear you. They hear you, but they don't have a lot of power to make so much changes. Because first of all, there's a lot of like bureaucracy and like there's like people that may have more autonomy than they do, and their job is just to make sure that you don't explode and they hear you out. And if they can like if it in terms of promotion, maybe the best they can do is to like recommend you for promotions or stuff like this. But in a case maybe like you want to change roles completely, or like maybe you are a front-end dev and you want to work in DevOps now because this is your ambition in life. I think this is complicated. And sometimes I find like this could even be a disadvantage because now you could get looked at like you probably don't know what you want to do in life. So I really need I'm looking for how to use this period, like these meetings, to maximize the benefit of it. The benefit is like you said, to help you to because up till now, I mean, all these years, like I just attend these meetings and sometimes I'm just like, well, we're gonna have one-on-ones. I don't know what you want me to talk about, but I really want to start like using these meetings
Hmm.
very well, but I don't know what that looks like yet. Like, do I build a relationship with my manager? Do we become best friends? Or like, do we do we keep it professional? Where do we draw the line? What can I not tell you? You know, like what are like do you understand? I hope these questions make sense to you.
Well, like,
You know,
yeah, it does, but I don't know. It feels like there's a lot of presuppositions there. It kind of almost feels like you think that your manager is like some sort of malicious actor that's trying to like catch you into something or like denigrate you in some way, and you're not treating them as even being potentially helpful. You're treating them as being at most
mm,
useless, kind of. So
no, not
if you come
useless.
in if
Just
you come in into that conversation with that
mhm.
attitude, I'm pretty sure that they can sense it in some way and be like, well, what's this guy even trying to do here?
Really.
Well, I don't know. I'm again, this is my perception of the situation as
You
you're
might not be
telling it to
wrong.
me.
Honestly, you're probably not wrong because I mean I always think of it like this is corporate and like sometimes like the things you say could be used against you in the court of law, like just to say. But I don't know if this is just me, just if this is just a thing with me, or like maybe this is how everyone says it. Or maybe this is something I need to really fix. Maybe
Mm.
this is something I really need to change how I say it.
Yeah, so
Because
yeah, go ahead.
I just feel everyone has to do their job at some point. And like if you build a relationship with someone and you get so close, like if they have to make a decision that probably doesn't really go your way or something like this, then I mean it hurts more because now you feel like, oh yeah, you're my friend, then like, why are you doing this to me, you know? And but if you have like a professional relationship, you just understand it. It's what it is. It's work, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But then again, like if you're not close enough that you don't even understand each other, like you don't get to have a relationship, like I'm not
Well,
sure how like
you
it
know,
could really help you in this case. So I don't know. I'm really honestly I'm being vulnerable right now. Just literally asking.
I think we talked about it before, not yesterday, but the previous one where we talked about one-on-ones and saying like these are two orthogonal things, like you achieving your professional goals and you being friendly with your manager are ideally should not be related. Like you don't like you should be able to still achieve your goals within the organization and not necessarily be friendly with your manager. You just use them as a resource to like facilitate achieving those goals. Like you can come in and say, hey, I've been here for this many months. I am like at this level. I want to be at the next level. Like, I'm curious, what do I need to do? Like, what gaps I have in terms of the professional skill matrix that would qualify me for that next level? Can you like help me with that? Can you tell me what needs to be done? Can you like observe it over the next 6 months to see that I'm actually doing these things? Like, that conversation can happen completely separate from the fact that, you talk about your hobbies and your life and your enjoyment of Star Wars movies or whatever. Like, these are just both can happen simultaneously. And you are correct in the sense that, like, if you have this idea that they are your friend and at some point in time they will inevitably have to take a decision that would go against your interests, because arguably they're protecting their interest and they're also protecting companies' interests, not necessarily yours. Ideally, as I mentioned in our previous conversations, like, it's very nice if the manager is on the side of the team and like fights for the team, but those are few and far between. And usually, uh, fighting the behemoth is much harder than just kind of doing a 180 and doing the behemoth's bidding against your own team. Not in such dramatic terms, but you know what I mean, right? It's much easier to side with the corporation in all things and defer to upper management and be like, it's out of my hands. The upstairs told me to do it, so I'm just doing it, right? So, as you said, you just need to be aware of that. It's like, I mean, even outside of work, you could have people who you consider friends and they might not always do things to your benefit, right? It's just human nature, I guess. It's always best if you surround yourself with people who would be, helping you and you in turn would help them, right? But there's also people who are just there to kind of spend time and in worst case, like either parasitize or deliberately like sabotage the things you're doing. So, pick your friends carefully.
Yeah.
So,
Do
yeah.
you make friends with your coworkers?
I make friends with my coworkers. Maybe not as much. I don't know in terms of friends with my manager. There's like a couple of people that I tentatively stay in touch with, um, but not to a great extent. Um, like we still have common group chats and share things that are happening in our life, but it's not like we go to each other's places for dinner on weekends or something like that, right? So it just
Kind of like
never.
acquaintances.
Yeah, it's more like an acquaintances, but some acquaintances you have, you're basically neutral. But I if I were to meet them in person, it would be like I would be pretty happy to see them. I don't see why not. Right. So yeah, like those things are separate. They don't have to be mixed together. Again, in your conversations, as you get to know the person, because again, you can get to know the person also without becoming necessarily too chummy with them either, right? It's more of a like this is what I am and this is what I like to do. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to like me on a personal level, right? But once you glean something about them as a person, if they are the kind of person that you would be friends with, then just guard yourself against the risk of them having to lay off the entire team half a year down the line because the economy turned to shit or something like that. Because in a professional setting, no one's insured from that, right? And in fact, I think people who make the mistake of thinking that because they're such a good friends with their manager that it's like not gonna affect them, they are likely the ones going in for like a very rude awakening sometime down the line and disappointment and heartbreak. So it's just understanding the risks.
Would you would you would you be able to tell me like your last conversation you had with your in your one-on-one?
Mm. Yeah, it was kind of a very critical conversation. And after that, we haven't really had that many conversations. So I don't know. Um,
Was there like a fixed fight or what do you mean critical?
well, I was being criticized for all of my
Uh,
shortcomings, and at first I was curious, as per what the fuck, pardon my French, because like 3 years
uh,
prior to that, everyone was fairly happy with my performance, and then all of a sudden, with all these broader team structure changes and all these other things,
mm,
all of a sudden I'm getting these like just piles and piles of criticism dumped on me, and I'm like, huh, that doesn't seem to comport with how I consider myself as like. And I started thinking, is like, have I been delusional for the last 3 years? Or is somebody's just trying to gaslight me, telling how shitty of a performer I am? So the jury's still out on that one. Um, but yeah, it was not particularly pleasant.
how did you handle the conversation? Like, do you feel? I mean, I remember that we talked a little bit about this, but I'm just trying to understand like how did you in the moment when you had the
Mhm.
conversation, did you try to like defend yourself or like you were just like listening and figuring out what you were gonna do?
Well, see, this is the interesting thing because, as I mentioned, like in the beginning, I was thinking that all of those criticisms are valid because some of the criticisms were valid. Like some of the criticisms were certainly valid. It's just like the other things that never used to be a problem before suddenly ended up being a problem apparently, and that was confusing for me. So like in the beginning I was like, well, I mean, I was obviously quite what's the word, disappointed, discouraged, frustrated. Well, nobody likes to hear a bunch of criticisms about themselves all of a sudden, right?
Yeah.
um and it's just like halfway through it, some things kind of started to smell fishy. I wasn't 100% sure, so I came out of it pretty stunned. It was like whoa, what just happened, right? I did not expect that. And later upon reflection, I kind of started to analyze it and be like, that doesn't seem too genuine.
Genuine.
Uh, like the criticisms were like not. I did not really think that they were genuine. I thought that maybe it was some way of like, you know, like if you just give people a lot of shit, then they like start doing something like more of things or something. They get like a burst of productivity out of them. I don't know if that was the strategy. I don't know necessarily.
Did you work? Did it work? Did it work?
Uh, I don't know. Should I say it? Should I say it out loud? Probably not. I don't think it's a good strategy. It only works short term, and once you understand that it is a strategy being used against you, then it stops working at all. It just creates a lot of resentment and a lot of like just frustration. What's the word I'm trying to come up with? Basically, it really poisons the work relationship. So everything going forward is now seen in the context of that. And every bit of feedback is now has to be viewed through the lens. Are they being genuine? Are they being for real? Or are they just being full of shit and just trying to pull a fast one to get something out of me because what? I don't know. So it's a strange situation to be in, certainly. Um, and I'm navigating it the best I can. So I guess we'll see what comes out of it. So far, I'm just doing my tasks that I've been assigned, and maybe that's the reason I'm not having any more one-on-ones. Um, so yeah.
Did you did you feel like it hurts more because you had like a good relationship with your manager, like the criticism?
To a degree, yes. To a degree, yes, because again, it's not like we were like chums or anything like that, but upon reflection, it kind of felt like, oh, the mask has certainly slipped, and like you see that person's true face, and that part is kind of like the disappointment and the slight sense of betrayal is certainly there. Um, but not nearly to a degree for the instances that I had like further back in my past, where it was more dramatic, I would say.
What do you
So,
mean? You want to tell the
well,
story about that?
I don't know if I want to air out my dirty laundry necessarily for the entire internet to hear.
Okay.
But, you know, I've worked with this fellow for a while, first as peers, and then our paths split. We went working for different companies.
Ah, I remember that.
He turned over to management, and then, I was working for the company where he was working as a manager on his team. And then in the end, I felt like he stabbed me in the back and thrown me under a bus. And
You see,
after our final call, we've never spoken since outside of work in any kind of capacity. And I thought we were friends. So that one definitely hurt. It kind of still does a little bit because it's yeah, but So after having something like this in your career once, I think you're more prepared for the same kind of situation in the future. You get inoculated against it a little bit, but with that you also get more cynical to a degree. So
do you maybe this might be like relatable. Like when I'm saying like, yeah, like it's a very um strategic relationship. It's not like being in a relationship. For example, if this was a romantic relationship, you could get in a fight, yell at each other, finish the fight, and go back to being in your relationship. But this one affects you. I don't even think it's fixable
Yeah,
because
well, that's why I'm saying that there's definitely a lot more room for compromise in a personal relationship rather than professional relationship, right? Because I
yeah,
think like which one do you prefer to salvage more, right? It's like, are you gonna cling to your job or are you cling to your girlfriend slash wife, whatever?
yeah. You see, and also like I feel, for example, like the one your the current manager you were talking about, and I was thinking it was like what we were saying earlier, like in the beginning you could have like a good relationship. I remember one time I had this manager like a while ago. We literally went to a bar. We go to a bar, we like have a good time, you know, do karaoke together, like bros. Because like in my team at the time, we were all guys. So so we were all bros. And then suddenly you see like, yeah, the personality is different, and now they're trying to like, remind you that they are the boss, and
Mm-hmm.
they have your life in their hands, stuff like this. And I think I think when you say being becoming cynical after a while, like I think it just like makes you really question what's the point of the one-on-ones? Can I come to you when I have something to say? Like, do we really have to talk? Like, like do we need to
Well,
have one-on-ones?
arguably, if you want to stave off cynicism, effectively, like um, you have to give people the benefit of the doubt as much as you can, I guess. And obviously, not everything is gonna be all rosy, and some of these are likely to crash and burn. But just because that happened doesn't mean that you just have to turn into some insufferable, cynical asshole. You know, it's like I'll try to build a courteous relationship with the person, but if I start seeing that they're like doing these negative things toward me, then okay, well, I guess now we know, and now we don't do that anymore, and we keep it strictly professional. So fair enough. Um, but that's just my personal strategy. I guess it's been working out for me so far. I mean, like, I'm not there waking up in the middle of the night thinking, oh my God, that guy was such an asshole, or like holding any kind of grudges. It's like, I probably haven't thought about these people up until right now. And before that has been months and months and months. So, they shit like that does not live rent free in my head. I don't allow it to.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe I need to work on this because maybe I've gotten to a level where it's not like I'm cynical. I'm not. I just don't know how to use this relationship. I feel like it's like you have a subscription, but you are not really using it to the max. I feel like I feel like I could use this relationship differently, but I have not figured it out, like how best to use this relationship.
Well,
And
okay,
this
so
is what I'm
first
trying
thing
to
is
do.
that like you're showing up. Like, a lot of people, they buy a gym membership and then they show up once and then they never show up again.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
the thing is, like, if you're at least showing up to the gym, you can come up and ask them, it's like, hey, can you help me leverage this to the best possible way, right? And same thing, like, you can legit straight up ask your manager, like, what is the most productive way that we can be using this time for my career goals? Because it's not about the current project you're working on. It should not be about that. It should be about
no,
you and your place within the
hmm
organization. So if you come into a manager, like, you don't have to be friends with him. It's like, okay, like, we have this time. how can we use it in the best way to help me move forward? If they can't give you an answer to that, then cancel the one-on-ones and live your life. Because clearly you're not going to be getting anything reasonable out of it, so why bother, you know? But then, but then the ball will be in their court, right?
Mhm,
And
mhm.
the other thing too is they could not give a shit about your goals and aspirations, and you have to put in the work to get it out of them effectively, and then it's basically up to you to figure out how you want to do that. But you can ask them what would be the first steps, because I think the other thing too is you probably have to let them understand that you're the person who's going to be doing all the work, and all you want from them is just the direction and feedback in terms of am I on the right path or not. So there's no specific requirement for them to actually do shit that would occupy their time trying to solve your goals and desires, because they have plenty of things to do already, and you're piling more on it is probably not the best strategy. But if you're the person doing all the work and you're making it extremely clear, and all you need from them is just say, keep doing what you're doing, maybe don't do this, maybe do that, like just slight course corrections on a way, that would be much easier for them to agree to, because again, it only requires talking to you once a week, which you're already scheduled to do, so it's basically for free.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. I mean, I mean, I can't. First of all, I don't think it's a good idea to cancel meetings, like to cancel the. I mean, this is just my opinion. I mean, if you if you want to have an attitude, I don't think having an attitude towards your manager is the best thing to do.
Well, it's not
Because
necessarily an attitude, but like if you ask your manager this question and they say sorry, can't help you, well then what is this for? Like what are we doing here? Like
sure you
it,
don't.
huh?
Sure you
No,
don't.
it's like
Sure you don't.
if that's the kind of answer, then it's time to reframe that entire thing altogether, because it's like if they expect something from you and you don't have anything, or you expect something from them and they don't have anything, then just get half an hour back and enjoy half an hour that you get back. You could probably spend it more productively on something else. So can they. But I don't think that that's how it's gonna play out.
No.
Because I
This is
think
what this is.
ultimately, I think like managers would have to be ranked also on how many people they promote.
Mhm.
I heard that in some companies, like if a person hasn't been promoted for like a couple of years, they consider it as not being a good sign or whatever. Which I don't know if it's the right thing to do, because some people just happy doing what they're doing. Like not everybody needs to constantly chase the promotions and like switching shit. It's
Mhm.
like if I'm happy building things, then I'm happy building things. Like go away. Why can't I just build things? You know.
Yeah.
But they have
No.
something like the career uh like the career movement of their subordinates reflects on them as a manager too. So they do have some internal incentives, I believe, at least in some way, to help you on your way, because it would reflect positively on them if you get promoted consistently, because they can say, oh, it was under my tutelage and guidance that this person is achieving such great goals, such great heights. So
Yeah, that's a fair point. But so the thing is, the only reason why I'm thinking a lot about this right now is because I feel like I have um a good one that I can use right now, like a person like that. It seems like he cares about people, and
mhm.
I just find like it'd be nice if I'm able to like build like a good relationship, but I don't know how to do it. And I hope I'm doing it well. I don't know. I just don't know. Sometimes I'm afraid. Sometimes I'm like, yeah. Sometimes I don't know. So it'd be nice to be able to. to figure this out. I hope I find a good way. But I understand. Like I feel like I learn more about how to do this now. It's just like I also know like incorporate like especially when you're in management, the decisions that you make may not even be the decisions that you believe in. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Like sometimes you 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 just have to do what you have to do. Everyone has to do their job. Like it's a job
Yeah,
at the
no,
end of the
that's
day.
true. That's true.
It's a job, you know, and everyone will decide how well they want to do their job, like because you're a manager, like you're managing people does not necessarily mean that you're really good at this job or like you would do the job very well. You have the
Well,
position quite all
at
right.
least you
So
should be
hopefully,
getting better at the job, right?
hopefully, some
Yeah.
people do get better. Some
Yeah.
people don't really care about getting better. And some
No, that's
people,
true.
like I said, some
That's true.
people see it as an opportunity to flex their position, like yeah,
Yeah.
I'm your boss. So it is what it is, but you have to learn how to deal. I guess the first thing I would say is like maybe it could be a good idea to pay attention to the person, like whoever is your manager, like maybe spend some time to learn about them before you start to build like the relationship that you want with them. Because if they happen to be the kind of people, I guess if they happen to be the kind of people that you cannot really like trust with so much, so you could just keep the relationship light and just show up, get your
Yeah.
attendance, and just keep it moving. But if they happen to be the kind of people that really wants to help you genuinely, then I guess this is when one could start thinking about
You have to
how
like I think there's two places where that could work to your advantage. It's like your manager is like younger, roughly like maybe your age range. So they're
Mhm.
still, not as cynical and inspired and really want to move things forward and help people. Or you get a person who has seen it all and has gone through the grinder and like already from the height of their experience can actually help you more, because the person in the middle, like at the peak of their cynicism, like that's not the person that's gonna help you the most, you
This is
know.
life, you see, like there's already a demographic, that you don't want. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So that's the thing, right? And I think I was gonna say the two things. I think like ultimately you are correct that you end up doing what you have to do, but that should not prevent you from keeping your eye on your ultimate goal, you know? Like when we originally first started chatting, you said your goal was being a CTO. I was like, do you still think that you're on a path to that goal? Is that goal even valid for you anymore? Maybe you changed it entirely. But like, don't get bogged down in the minutia and like keep your eyes on a prize, so to speak. Like at least have it shape some of the things that you do. Don't just say, oh, I can't think about doing that because like there's this thing that I have to do right now, because those are never gonna go away, right? So you have to have some incremental movement toward your ultimate goal. The second thing, I lost my train of thought and forgot, so I don't
I
remember
hope
what
you
it was.
remember. Can I help you remember? I feel like it's important. I'm waiting. Vasili, do you remember?
No, not really. Maybe I'll remember. Like once I start editing and I'll start hearing the
Ah,
conversation that we had, I might remember what I
well,
had in mind for this. But currently, I think it slipped.
honestly, yeah, you're right. Like, and I appreciate that. Thank you for this, because it's true. Maybe sometimes like you could get a bit like overwhelmed by like your the current state, like the current amount of responsibilities that you have, and like if I could just get through today, maybe tomorrow, like you could do something else. But you're right, it doesn't end. You just have to balance it. And the thing is, as as much as I know right now, even on that level, like at that level, it doesn't really get lighter. I feel like the responsibilities even get a bit more intense. Right now, most of my issues are just like, I mean, I don't really have any right now, but I mean, I would say relatively light because I can only think about like building stuff. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and at that time, it's not just like building stuff. There is the business side of it. There is
Yeah.
the people side of it. There is like the whole you can't pressure.
Do,
The pressure is
doing
harder at that time.
yeah, doing what you know how to do is a very comfortable place. But it's not challenging enough, I think.
Exactly. So
So, yeah.
yeah, we'll yeah. Hopefully, like we get to continue to move closer and closer to the goal by God's grace. So yeah, hopefully. And hopefully I get to learn how to use the resources that I have around me. Because I feel like if you're lucky to have a good manager, you know, like a good person that can actually work with you, I feel like it helps.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
I've changed
certainly.
teams a lot. I've
It
changed teams a
certainly
lot, you
helps.
know.
Yeah,
I've changed teams a lot, and I've been with different people. Like with this guy, I used to. I was close to mentioning the company, but yeah, there was this guy. Um, I met him sometime pre-COVID. We
yeah.
worked
Mm-hmm.
together. He was the CTO of the company at the time. Young guy. And I remember like my relationship with him was probably like where I even started to think about this idea because he has a very good people skill and people he was young, but he earned a lot of people's respect. Like and you don't earn respect if you don't give something. Like you don't earn respect because you're boss. You earn respect at this level because you bring value to people. You understand? And I feel like in the short period of time that we worked together, I felt like he did this to me. So I feel like even at this level, you are not just thinking about like work, you're thinking about people, you're thinking about business, you're thinking about a lot of things. So like yeah, you have to learn to balance everything and to figure out like how to make them all work. But anyway, today we learned this lesson. Hopefully, like I get to keep it in mind and continue
Yeah.
to use it.
I think I remember the second thing that I was gonna say.
Ooh, finally.
Yeah. I mean, arguably, like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, if you ask about all these things, like, what is the worst thing that can happen?
I'm not. So I
As in,
mean, I
like,
have
like it should not prevent you from trying,
no,
because like
okay.
the worst possible outcome is what? Like, can you live with that outcome? If yes, then
Okay.
by all means. If no,
Okay.
then well, that's a different situation.
So so right now, like I feel I'm not afraid to ask. This is not the issue. Like I think I'm even thinking more about it right now because I feel like I can use the one I have, like the resource I have. So it's not the fear of asking that's the problem. What I'm trying to do is like I guess like what I'm trying to do now is like you know how like when you're in college, like you're going on a date or like you're about to talk to this girl, but you don't know how to talk to the girl, and maybe it never happened to you, but you don't know how to talk to the
But the
girl,
only
so
way
like
to
you're going.
learn is through repetition. It's a chicken and
So,
an egg problem. Unless you talk
so
to a bunch, you don't know how to talk to them. So you never talk to
anyway,
them.
yeah, hopefully, you know what? I'll keep you updated. I'll let you know how it goes. I think I will do well. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Read the article that I sent. Maybe it'll give you some ideas. It's linked in the previous episode in the chapters,
Hmm.
and I've sent it to you privately. So just take a look at it and see what you think.
Yeah, for sure. Or otherwise, I'm gonna use it to practice my one-on-ones. So
Yes,
um,
yes.
I could practice with you before actually go to the one-on-ones. This would be it's a plan. It's a plan.
Yeah.
But we'll see. But
All right.
thank you,
Well,
Vasily.
good luck with that. Thanks, Mo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I guess contrary to the previous episode, it didn't take all that long to get into more heavier things today, so that works too.
Yeah.
And yeah, let us know what you think, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you and goodbye.